Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon. Whichever one you want to say, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, it's on you. But thank you guys for tuning in to the Wednesday night bid break it down discussion. That's what bid stands for. So if somebody asks you, see, we have Bible study. I don't know what a bid is. They made that up. Hey, it's like this here. Bid break it down discussion. We'd rather do that because once we go over these things, discussing them, going over what it means, what it's saying, we retain the information better rather than just sitting there watching somebody read over a whole bunch of stuff we can't really say anything. Just got to be quiet, take notes, and that's pretty much that. Now we're going to discuss it. This is a discussion. And on our Wednesdays, we go over the lost books per se. You know, not what everybody used to. You want regular Bible? We're going to tie it all in because it all goes with it anyway. We've already discovered that. But if that's what you want, you need to be here with us on Sunday. Well, not Sunday morning. I'm sorry. Saturday mornings now. Saturday mornings. If that's what you're looking for, be here with us Saturday mornings. If you're looking for something else, well, we're going in a little bit deeper. Here you go. This is what we got. So, what we've been doing is going over the book of wisdom. Tonight we start at chapter 16. I think it's 19 chapters in here or maybe 20. So depending on how the discussions go tonight, we could get done with it tonight. If not, we'll have like one chapter left to go over next week. But yeah, so right now we starting at chapter 16. For those, because I see somebody just jumped in and their name is on there, so I know who it is. I'm not going to put them out there in front of everybody, because they somebody that should have been getting on here a while ago. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I see you. We see you on there. Hopefully you done hit the subscribe and like so y'all get the notifications. You know what I'm saying? And y'all can jump on here. Whatever y'all get on here and consume it like everybody else. But yeah, go to hit that like and subscribe. Mrs. Austin. Miss Austin. Yeah, yeah. Tia. Anyway, so yeah, we got that. What we're gonna do is start at 16. So those that are a little bit late, maybe Miss Austin, maybe some of your family members could catch you up because it's a whole lot in this book. A whole lot in this book of wisdom. We're realizing a whole lot of things. We're reading a whole lot of things, getting new perspective, and it's shedding light and illuminating some things that people had questions on. It's a bunch going on in here. So, if you remember, if you were here with us last week, you remember it ended where he was talking about, once again, people starting to make dead people like their gods. They're trying to talk to them and praise them, do all type of stuff that you shouldn't be doing because some of it is out of grief. The person is gone and you didn't have enough time with them. Like you said, you felt you got in grief early with them. They're gone. So now you trying to talk to them, hey, if you up there and you hear me, can you do? No, none of that. And it was saying a lot of sin started for when people started doing that because then after that they start building statues and idols to loved ones and then start making people do other things and then kings start doing it for themselves and all kind of stuff started happening. Then he said then they even started doing it with animals and praising animals and yeah, it got kind of crazy, real crazy. So that's where we left off. I'm going to read the last couple of verses of chapter 15 so you can jog your memory. And I'm going to start at 18. It says, yes, and they worship the creatures that are most hateful. Like, so the animals y'all worship ain't even the good ones. You worshiping the hateful ones. For being compared as to lack of sense, these are worse than all others. Neither is seen beside other creatures are they beautiful. so that one should desire them. But they have escaped both the praise of God and his blessing. Yeah, God ain't praising you or blessing you because that's what you're doing. Boom. Now, we finna get into chapter 16. Amen. Yeah, I gotta get used to saying that. Amen. That's where we finna be. Y'all down with me? If you got comments, type them in the, let's see, y'all are on YouTube. So if y'all are on YouTube, I'm gonna sound real old. Y'all on the YouTubes, add the S on there. Y'all on the YouTubes, go ahead, type in your comments if we have them, or your questions or your statements over what we're going over. If you're on the call, you can type it in too. We got it. We down. He said, we down. We got it. All right, bet. So now let's start with 16. And it says, for this reason, they were deservedly punished through creatures like those which they worship, and tormented through a multitude of vermin. My goodness, the Lord once again. This is the second time he said this. Y'all remember he said this a couple of chapters earlier. Since they were worshiping the animals, the Lord punished them with animals, right? All right. And a multitude of vermin. That's probably when the sicknesses start coming from like little mice and rats and hamsters and stuff like that. Vermin. Instead of this punishment, you giving benefits to your people, prepared quails for food, a delicacy to satisfy the desire of their appetite, to the end that your enemies desiring food might, for the hideousness of the creatures sent among them, loathe even the necessary appetite. But these your people, having suffered lack for a short time, might even partake of delicacies, for it was necessary that inescapable lack should come on those oppressors. But that to these it should only be showed how their enemies were tormented. For even when terrible raging of wild beasts came on your people, and they were perishing by the bites of crooked serpents, your wrath did not continue to uttermost. But for the admonition they were troubled for a short time, having a token of salvation to put them in remembrance of the command of your law. For he who turned toward it was not saved because of that which was seen, but because of you, the Savior of all. Yes, and in this you persuaded your enemies that you are he who delivers out of every evil. So I'm going to stop right there so far. So far what he's saying is even God's enemies, he done sat there, had all kind of terrible stuff start happening to him. He had beasts rise up, start eating people, snakes coming and biting them, vermin all around, they delivering disease, doing all kind of stuff. All this going on because they were worshiping animals and worshiping other stuff, right? He put that on them. And like he said, the oppressors and everything else that was going on with it, he had this stuff happening to them. But what he says is he could have kept it going. You know, he could have kept all of this stuff going. But he said he just did it for a short time because he still loved the people and still had to give them a chance, you know, to turn back to the Lord. Like he said, some of them, they realize we ain't been doing right. That's why the Lord doing all of this. We got to turn to God. And he said, and they weren't saved because of what they saw. Because in that case, what he's saying is once these animals got to doing all of this to the people, they could have said, well, we need to turn to God. And God could have been like, nah, it's too late. You just turning because you watched that lion eat that man. Or you just turning because you done seen a giant anaconda swallow a woman. You know, you just turning because these rats is biting your fingertips while you sleep. No, other than that you would. But he's saying they didn't do that. They turned because God allowed them to turn to him, and he accepted them. So even though all this stuff is going on, it was just for a small period of time. He didn't just keep it on them and keep it on them. No, I'm still giving y'all a chance to get right. Now, some of y'all ain't going to make it because you been had a chance. But the rest of you that do, and the rest of you that recognize, you have a chance to turn back toward the Lord. All right. I'm going to read 8 again. Yes, and in this you were persuaded, our enemies, that you are he who delivers out of every evil. For the bites of hold on, it says you are he in that he capital. Was he told you are him? I'm him back then. You are he. You are he who delivers out of every evil. For the bites of locusts and flies truly killed them. Man, boys got bit up by flies. There were some big flies, but they could bite you and kill you. It said, for the bites of locusts and flies truly killed them. No healing for their life was found, because they were worthy to be punished by such things. But your children were not overcome by the very teeth of venomous dragons. For your mercy passed by where they were and healed them. For they were bitten to put them in remembrance of your oracles, and were quickly saved, lest falling into deep forgetfulness, they should become unable to respond to your kindness. For truly it was nearly herb nor modifying plaster that cured them, but your word, O Lord, which heals all things, for you have authority over life and death. And you lead down to the gates of Hades and lead up again. You lead people down the hill and you can bring them out. Yeah. Basically, you're only turning to God because you feel you have to. Right. Bad stuff going on. Now you're trying to turn to God. But like he said, a lot of people are trying to do it and he's not accepting it. Some are doing it because I see what's going on. Lord, yeah, I'm giving you a chance. But some of y'all been had chances and you ain't taking them. Y'all seen all kind of stuff. Now that the punishment come on you, now you want to try to change. No, you're not accepting that. But, yeah, 13, because they talking about they getting healed and all. 13, for you have authority over life and death, and you lead down to the gates of Hades and lead up again. But though a man kills by his wickedness, he cannot retrieve the spirit that has departed, or release the imprisoned soul. But it is not possible to escape your hand. For ungodly men, refusing to know you, were scourged in the strength of your arm, pursued with strange rains and hails and relentless storms, and utterly consumed with fire. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, man. So I'm reading this right, which I am. I'm reading it right. Y'all could be following along with me. Y'all got it. Look at what this is saying. For you had authority over life and death. You lead down to Hades and out again. But though a man kills by his wickedness, he cannot retrieve the spirit that has departed or release the imprisoned soul. So if you kill a person that's going to hell, his soul done went to hell, you can't take it back. You can't, well, I ain't mean to. None of that. It done already happened. He done went. And it's on your hands, right? Okay, so you got that. But at the same time, it says, but it is not possible to escape your hand. For ungodly men, refusing to know you, were scourged in the strength of your arm, pursued with strange rains and hails and relentless storms. What is this saying? It's a whole lot of godless men out here. That's what it said. For people that don't love you, for ungodly men, what is he talking about? He going to be killing them with strange rains, floods. Right? He said he's pursuing them with that. Strange rains, hails, and relentless storms. So now we see why a bunch of stuff is going on now, right? God doing it. Because he's saying there's a whole bunch of ungodly men out here. It's ungodly people, and he done got fed up. So this is what I'm going to do. We're reading it right here. And this is written by the wisest man that ever was and ever will be, is what the Bible states, right? What it tell you, Solomon, that nobody will ever be as wise as him. There was no one wise as him. There will never be any man. We know Yahweh and Yeshua and the Holy Spirit is, but I'm talking about just regular man. It says nobody was ever that wise, and nobody will ever be that wise. And he's sitting here telling you all of these storms are happening because God is trying to kill ungodly men. This is pursuing them to get the godly justice. All right. So, boom. How do we see that's going on? And it says, and utterly consumed with fire. Wildfires burning, right? We see it. What happened in Hawaii? Wildfires. But also, it's happening in Washington up there, too. They was talking about there's two big giant wildfires that done burn up a whole bunch of stuff. And they actually merged together. And they're finding all kind of people dead. I know it was some other kind of wildfire that happened. They just found like, I think 100 bodies. I was reading it earlier. Like 100 people dead they done found. I'm sitting here like, hey, man, we reading it right now. That's how the Lord is getting justice from some people. This is crazy. For what was most marvelous, in the water which quenches all things, the fire burned hotter. For the world fights for the righteous. For at one time the flame lost its fierceness, that it might not burn up the creatures sin against the ungodly. Look at that. So the Lord even be sending animals to kill ungodly people, man. Man. But that these themselves, as they looked, might see, that they were chased through the judgment of God. At another time, even in the midst of water, it burns above the power of fire, that it may destroy the produce of an unrighteous land. Instead of these things, you gave your people messengers, food to eat, and you provided ready to eat bread for them from heaven without toil, having the virtue of every pleasant flavor and agreeing to every taste. For your nature showed your sweetness toward your children, while that bread serving the desire of the eater changed itself according to every man's choice. Ooh-wee. But snow and ice endured fire and did not melt, that people might know that fire was destroying the fruits of the enemies, burning in the hail and flashing in the rains, and that this fire again, in order that righteous people may be nourished, has even forgotten its own power. For the creation ministering to you, its maker, strains its force against the unrighteous for punishment, and slackens it on behalf of those who trust in you for kindness. Therefore, at the time also converting itself into all forms, it ministered to your all-nourishing bounty, according to the desire of those who had need, that your sons whom you loved, O Lord, might learn that it is not the growth of the crops that nourishes a man, but that your word preserves those who trust you. For that which was not marred by fire, when it was simply warmed by a faint sunbeam, melted away, that it might be known that we must rise before the sun to give you thanks, and must plead with you at the dawning of the light. For the hope of the unthankful will melt as the winter's hoarfrost, and will flow away as water that is no use. That's the end of 16. It got kind of confusing in there. But what he's saying in the other one was that fire is supposed to be like a tool that the Lord uses, that he sends out to bring justice on some people. But it said fire has forgotten some of its uses. And it was talking about it's starting to take compassion on people. That's and what I'm getting out of that is because now we've learned how to use fire. We use fire every day to cook. You know, gas like this, the fire. It ain't like we turn the fire on and burn the whole house down. Um, you know, because it's mad at us and nothing like that. It's like we know how we could tame a fire. We could use a fire unless it's a wildfire. But it was saying at first, yeah, it was helping, but it's still supposed to do a whole lot of killing. That's what it's for. Like it's supposed to do a lot of killing, but now it's actually helping because it don't want to see all of us get burned up and marred where we can't eat or we don't have anything or burning us alive. It doesn't want to see that. So I'm like, so fire is actually alive and it has thoughts. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. And we got somebody said in Cali was hit with a hurricane and an earthquake at the same time. It's because the Lord mad at a whole bunch of stuff they got going on over there. If that type of stuff is going on, which I read that type of stuff going on, the Lord is mad at a whole bunch of stuff. But also, it let me know something that was going on as well, which I didn't know. He was talking about when the people was crossing the desert, like he was saying, hey, you gave them bread right out of heaven. You gave them stuff right out of heaven. And he was saying that the people really didn't even appreciate it, but that's what you gave them. And it said every man that ate the bread and every man that ate the stuff, it changed how it tasted according to what that man or that woman wanted. Like whatever they wanted, it was how it would taste. I'm sitting there like, hey, that's why, hey, that's what's up. Me, myself, I would have been eating into some bread that tasted like a steak. Like one of the coldest steaks cooked ever. Just, oh, Lord. I'm telling you, why would I turn to another God? Why would I be worshiping these animals like the rest of them fools over there? You got bread that tastes like steak. Oh, man, I'm messing around. But at the same time, I would have been very happy. Lord, whatever else you send from out of heaven, go on and send it down. Do it, Lord. Give it what they desired. That's a question. A question for what part, Miss Austin? What part? While you typing it in, yeah, you could be typing it in for what part? From the bread, yeah, from the bread. That's what it was. Man, the Lord already know. He knows this. Just think, because it took him 40 years. Just think if every day you out here walking 40 years, because he said he had to let the unbelieving generation and the complaining generations, he had to let them die off. That's why they had to walk around for 40 years. That's where you be hoping somebody died fast. Just die fast, man. We got to keep walking. We walking out here, going to die off. But he had to let them die off. That's why they had to just walk around out there for 40 years. But just think, if you out here walking for all of those years, you finna get tired of eating bread every day. Just think about that. 40 years. You go in your, I don't know what kind of bread y'all get. We get the Nature's Own butter bread. You know, we used to get that Sunbeam. And sometimes I still think about it. That Sunbeam was good. But the Nature's Own butter bread, some people eat the grain bread, some people white bread, whatever. Whatever bread you got in there, in your pantry, or wherever you keep it. Just think about if you had to eat that every day for 40 years. You finna be so sick of bread. Your body might start rejecting bread. Like, yeah, it's finna be some bad stuff. So now it makes sense how they can eat that. Because, hey, when you going to eat it, it's changing its taste and whatever it is to whatever you want it to eat. So, yeah, like I say, I'm a steak person. You might have somebody, I like crab legs. You going to eat the bread, it tastes like crab legs. Oh, my goodness. Let's say you a person that like pasta or something. You go to eat the bread and that's what it tastes like. You know, I know Walt, Mr. Thomas, he like enchiladas. He an enchilada lover. I can't hate because I am too. That and fajitas, you can't go wrong. But I go to bite in this bread and it tastes like some enchiladas or it tastes like some fajitas. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now we can do this. You know, I might could do that for 2 days. Then the third day, wrong. I ain't wrong. Fajitas, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, I did say fajitas too. But you could do that. You might could eat fajitas for 2 days. All right, I'm kind of tired of fajitas now. You know, if I had a steak burger, I'd be good. Third day, you know, Wednesday come around, you sit there and you eat. Hey, bread tastes like a steak burger or whatever they had back then. Tastes like some lamb. Tastes like some goat. It tastes like, you know, a piece of cake this time. Whatever they had, it kept changing itself. That's how you can sustain eating the same thing for 40 years. See what I'm saying? The Lord was caring about him then while he was, this sad. The Lord cared about you then while he was letting you die off. These people complaining. They doing all this. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. They finna walk out here until they die off. And the generation after them that's worthy, that's who I'm going to bring in. But while he letting you die off, he still treat you good because he got the bread tasting good. See, the Lord cares even through the turmoils and strife. He still cares about us, man. Well, we don't even care. He cares about us. So, yeah. Yeah, that's what it was, Ms. Austin. That's what it was. But any other questions about this? Because this thing got real crazy. We see why storms is going on. The Lord, all y'all that's out here doing wrong, this is what I got for you. That's better than them animals coming to kill you. Like he said, he was sending animals to kill people and storms to kill them, and vermin and bugs. This thing said people was dying from getting bit by flies. I'm like, man, them fly, how big the fly ought to be? You get bit by a fly and you just... I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in one of my moods today. But just think, you going out to get food for your family, get bit by a fly, you do some stuff and come back home and your wife, your arm's starting to swell up. Hey, your wife, what's going on? I got bit by a fly. I don't think I'm going to make it, did she? And you really don't make it, like from a fly. It's funny to me because I'm seeing all kind of stuff in my head right now. But this is what he said was going on. Like, he did all this just to kill ungodly people. I went out to get some food and the fly bit me. And he didn't wake up after that. One locust done came, bit, well, can't provide for his family no more. He out of there. The Lord has some stuff going on, man. I'm like, yeah, we was messing up bad. For him to be doing stuff like this, and then Solomon outlining what's going on. She put, bro, I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm seeing stuff in my head, but this is wild, like how he's saying he did this. Because a couple of other chapters earlier, it said when people start worshiping animals, the Lord just started making animals. Like he was some animals that had never been seen before or had names to go kill the people that was worshiping animals. Now you got this one here. Then he said he filled those animals full of rage too. So I'm like, angry animals, aggressive animals, they out here killing people. But now they still doing it. That was Solomon saying, and his people still doing this stuff. And he watching what the Lord is making happen to these people. That's crazy. All this going on, nobody turning back to the Lord that was doing this stuff. This makes me question the intelligence of people. Either the intelligence, the arrogance, or the pride that they had. When I see my partner get bit by a fly and, and now his wife's a widow and the kids out there, Lord, whatever I did, I'm sorry. I'm going to get rid of this. When I see one of them animals that was made up Like, I ain't never seen nothing look like this before in my life. And I see it eating somebody over there. Lord, if you just see it in your will to put your arms of protection around me and my family, please, please. Yeah, you're going to be down begging like James Brown. Please, man, how all this going on, ain't nobody turning back to the Lord. They just, I'd rather die, get ate up by whatever that is, or bit by whatever this is, or get sick from the rats running around before I go back to the Lord. That don't even make sense. Like, what? I tell you the state of people. That's why if all my life I had to fight was a fly on my piece of bread. Man, look, see, y'all looking at how funny this stuff is too. That is true. You go outside with a piece of bread and watch how quick some flies come around. And just think, one of them flies bites you, you die, and they just all jump on the bread. Come on, man. This is crazy what he's saying is going on, and people still ain't going back to the Lord. I'm going to keep worshiping whatever this thing is I just had the clay maker make. I'm going to worship that. She would have walked for 40 years, too. Oh, yeah. She said Jesus is like, y'all trash, but I love y'all. Hey, man, that was God did. Jesus had made it here, like, had just come down it to stay. That was God saying that y'all trash, but I still love y'all. So let me give y'all this here, man, while y'all dying out there. Yeah. So we good? All right, we're going to go into chapter 17, man. We're going to go to 17. Like I say, sometime y'all can't let me do these bids. It be weird stuff going on. If I'm reading what's going on, I'm seeing it while I'm reading it. And that's where y'all get stuff like this. One of y'all may have to take over and do the next bid. And it'll be done like people that got sense. But anyway, says chapter 17, for your judgments are great and hard to interpret. Therefore, undisciplined souls went astray. For when lawless men had supposed that they held a holy nation in their power, they, prisoners of darkness and bound in the chains of long night, kept close beneath their roofs, lay exiled from the perpetual providence. For while they thought that they were unseen in their secret sins, they were divided from one another by a dark curtain of forgetfulness, stricken with terrible awe, and very troubled in apparitions. For neither did the dark recesses that held them guard them from fears, but terrifying sounds rang around them, and dismal phantoms appeared with unsmiling faces, and no force of fire prevailed to give light. Neither were the brightest flames of the stars strong enough to illuminate the gloomy night, but only the glimmering of self-kindled fire appeared to them. Full of fear, in terror, they considered the things which they saw to be worse than that sight on which they could not gaze. The mockeries of their magic arts were powerless now, and shameful rebuke of their boasted understanding. For those who promised to drive away terrors and disorders from a sick soul, these were sick with ludicrous fearfulness. For even if no troubling thing frightened them, yet scared with the creeping of vermin and hissing of serpents, they perished trembling in fear, refusing even to look at the air. Goodness, which could not be escaped on any side. Hold on, man. The Lord sitting here saying you had some people that practiced in the dark arts that was doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing, mixed in with all these other people. When they saw what was going on, they tried to run off by themselves, do some spells, do whatever they was doing, cover themselves up right? Hoping, all right, I can hide in here, the stuff won't get to me. But the Lord say while they was hiding, he had like some ghosts visit them. That's what it said, phantoms. And it wasn't no pleasant ones neither. He talking about some scary ones. So he had some scary spirits coming there, like some real Halloween type of stuff. Scary spirits coming there. Stuff they saw was so bad, like he said, they were sitting there trembling. They couldn't unsee it. Stuff happening. They was hearing people screaming all night while they getting ate up by whatever. They hearing sounds. They hearing people get bit by serpents, rats running around, all kind of stuff. So they couldn't escape anything. And it said it had them so scared because of all the dark magic they was doing. Even when nothing was there, they was scared of everything. Like it said they couldn't even look at the air. Like so they eyes closed, I'm under the cover, don't like they still seeing all of this stuff in their head. So it's like, yeah, you was dabbling in dark arts. So now he made you that fearful. That fearful. You don't even see nothing and you scared. This is some real ghetto boys type of stuff. Like your mind playing tricks on you. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, y'all know what that is. Like, this is what he's really doing to these people. I have never read anything like that in the Bible. Like this is, I don't even think we've come across any other lost books where this was going on and this was written in here. Like this is some deep stuff. Like the Lord, I see he can get on that level. Well, we know he can, but we just haven't seen it. He get on that level. Y'all out here practicing spells and soothsaying and all that. Let me show you what's up. These people scared to look at air. And they said they perished trembling in fear. They died because they were so scared. They were scared to death. What was that? Mobb Deep had that song? Scared to death, scared to look, shook. The shook ones. Yeah, that's what he got going on right here. Saying, never read anything like that. Example as to why he told us not to dabble in witchcraft. Exactly. Yup, shook ones, man. Hey, man. This is wild. Refusing to look at the air. Let me escape from east side. Back to 11. For wickedness condemned by a witness within is a cowardly thing, and being pressed hard by conscience has always added forecasts of the worst. For fear is nothing else but a surrender of the help which reason offers. And from within, the expectation of being less makes of greater account and ignorance of the cause that brings the torment. Hold on, let me read that again. And from within, the expectation of being less makes of greater account the ignorance of the cause that brings the torment. So, once the Lord got to working, these people start feeling less than. Remember, they was feeling mighty because they was doing all that dark art magic and stuff like that. But now that the Lord is working, they feel less than. And it says that makes account to greater ignorance that caused the bring. So that brought them more torment because they started feeling we're not adequate. Like the Lord is colder. We all know the Lord is colder than you. So that made more torment. But okay. But they all through the night, which was powerless indeed, and which came on them out of the recesses of powerless Hades, sleeping the same sleep. Now were haunted by monstrous apparitions. So they saw all kinds of stuff. And now were paralyzed by their souls surrendering, for sudden and unexpected fear came on them. So then whoever it might be sinking down in his place was kept captive, shut up in that prison which was not barred with iron. Prison of your mind. For whether he was a farmer or a shepherd or a laborer whose toils were in the wilderness, he was overtaken and endured that inevitable necessity. For they were all bound with one chain of darkness, whether there was a whistling wind or melodious sound of birds among the spreading branches, or a measured fall of water running violently, or a harsh crashing of rocks hurled down, or the swift course of animals bounding along unseen, or the voice of wild beasts harshly roaring, or an echo rebounding from the hollows of the mountains. All these things paralyzed them with terror. Boy, they couldn't hear nothing. They couldn't go nowhere. They couldn't hear nothing. They couldn't see nothing. Everything had them scared to death like that. But when the Lord mess with your mind, he drive you crazy for real. All these things paralyzed them with terror, for the whole world was illuminated with clear light and was occupied with unhindered works, while over them alone was spread a heavy night, an image of the darkness that should afterward receive them. But to themselves they were heavier than darkness. Well, that's it for 17, man. Hey, man. Any comments on that or questions about what we reading? This is crazy. The Lord did this to these people. This is, and Solomon's sitting here writing about it. He's seen it. He's writing about it. Yeah. Yeah, God did some terrible things to some people, man. Let me tell you. Look, there were some people doing this. They was practicing these dark arts. He drove them crazy. And that's on top of animals was eating people. All kind of stuff was going on. Like, yeah, it got real bad. It got real bad. So y'all still want to be worshiping that bear monkey y'all made over there? Like y'all had the clay man make that bear monkey thing, and y'all was sitting over there worshiping it. Y'all still want to do that after what's going on? I don't want no parts. I don't want no parts of none of that. Because if y'all ain't got no, we're going to go to 19. Oh, am I done? Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to go to 18. I'm sorry. 18. Yeah, 19 is the last chapter. We might get done with this tonight, man. But if we done with 17, y'all good? We're going to go to 18. I guess we good. Ain't nobody said nothing. So, 18. But there was great light for your holy ones. Their enemies hearing their voice, but not seeing their form, counted it a happy thing that they too had suffered. Yet for that they do not hurt them, though wronged by them before, they were thankful. And because they had been in variance with them, they begged for pardon. Whereas you provided a burning pillar of fire to be a guide for your people's unknown journey, and a harmless sun for those for their glorious exile. For the Egyptians well deserved to be deprived of light and imprisoned by darkness. They who had imprisoned your children, through whom the incorruptible light of the law was to be given to the race of men. After they had taken counsel to kill the babies of the holy ones, and when a single child had been abandoned and saved to convict them of their sin, you took their multitude of children away from them and destroyed all their army together in a mighty flood. Also, this is what happened to the Egyptians. All this stuff happened to them. All right. Our fathers were made aware of that night beforehand, that having sure knowledge, they might be cheered by the oaths which they had trusted. Salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies was expected by your people. For as you took vengeance on the adversaries, by the same means calling us to yourself, you glorified us. For holy children of good men offered sacrifice in secret, and with one consent they took on themselves the covenant of the divine law, that they would partake alike in the same good things and the same perils. The fathers already leading the sacred songs of praise. But the discordant cry of the enemies echoed back, and a pitiful voice of lamentation for the children was spread abroad. Both servant and master were punished with the same just doom, and the commoner suffering the same as king. Yes, they all together, under one form of death, had corpses without number, for the living were not even sufficient to bury them. Since at a single stroke their most cherished offspring was consumed. For while they were disbelieving all the things by reason of the enchantments on the destruction of the firstborn, they confessed the people to be God's son. For while peaceful silence wrapped all things, and night in her own swiftness was in mid-course, your all-powerful word leapt from heaven out of the royal thrones, a stern warrior, into the midst of the doomed land, bearing your authentic command as a sharp sword, and standing it filled all things with death. And while it touched the heavens, it took on the earth. Then immediately apparitions and dreams troubled them terribly, and unexpected fears came on them, and each one thrown here half dead, another there made known why he was dying. For the dreams disturbing them forewarned them of this, that they might not perish without knowing why they were afflicted. But experience of death also touched the righteous, and a multitude were destroyed in the wilderness. However, the wrath did not last long. Oh, hold on. So what this is saying is, a lot of them people start having dreams their kids was finna die. Their firstborns. I guess it was like it said they started seeing apparitions. So I guess ghosts were in these dreams and was probably eating their kids or showing them their kids is finna die some kind of way, showing them all kind of stuff. And it says the dreams were disturbing them, that they might not perish without knowing why they were afflicted. So the dreams was telling them why they was finna get killed, why stuff was happening. It's a message in their dreams. They ain't know what was going on. It happened. It says, but the experience of death also touched the righteous, and a multitude were destroyed in the wilderness. That dream fell really, oh yeah. Then the multitude were destroyed in the wilderness. However, the wrath did not last long. For a blameless man hurried to their champion, bringing the weapon of his own ministry, prayer, and the atoning sacrifice of incense. He withstood the indignation and set an end to the calamity, and showing that he was your servant, and he overcame the anger, not by strength of body, not by force of weapons, but he subdued him who was punishing by word. Yeah, foreshadowing, you right. But bringing to remembrance oaths and covenants made with the fathers. For when the dead had already fallen in heaps on one another, standing between, he stopped the wrath and cut off the way to the living. For the whole world was on his long robe, and the glories of the fathers were on the engraving of the 4 rows of precious stones. And your majesty was on the diadem of his head. The destroyer yielded to these, and they feared, for it was enough only to test the wrath. I think it's telling you Jesus is going to be coming, because it's talking about the destroyer yielded to him. And it was saying that he had to come down and subdue the oppressors by giving the word. So it's letting you know Jesus is going to come. But anything on 18, y'all, or no, you're good. Because that's the first time I done read, hey, he kind of let the Egyptians know, hey, man, y'all kids finna die in here. They not going to make it. And you having dreams of apparitions doing stuff to the kids, and they telling you why it's going to happen. And it's just a dream. Don't think nothing of it until you wake up one day and your firstborn is dead. And all this other stuff going on. This is crazy. But now we see it's a whole bunch of stuff was going on with these Egyptians. The Lord was letting them know some stuff. They still kept going. The Lord showing you your kids gonna die, didn't nobody take heed. Or, you know what I'm saying? Pharaoh had too much pride. This ain't finna happen, because it did say some enchantments was on the people. So he probably done went back to the dark arts people. Hey man, do some stuff, make something happen. And hey, yeah, we're gonna do this, and don't worry. And the Lord, you really think they can help you? You seen what I did to the other ones? They all went crazy. You seen what you think these people can help you? All right, still ain't learned. Now you see the Egyptians had all kind of chances. They had a whole bunch of chances in the Bible. So now you see they had more chances than that. And there was some bad stuff going on. And they still chose to do what they did. I think you may have said that backwards. It's basically letting them know their consequences have actions. I think you meant their actions have consequences. I think so. I'm not sure. Let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah. Mm. All right. Last chapter for the book of wisdom. Last chapter, and then we done. To the Sabbath, which is Saturday, we done. It says, but indignation without mercy came on the ungodly to the end. For God also foreknew their future, how having changed their minds to let your people go, and having sped them eagerly on their way, they would change their minds and pursue them. For while they were yet in the midst of their mourning and lamenting at the graves of the dead, they drew on themselves another counsel of folly. So while they was mad, they made some more decisions to do more stupid stuff. And pursued as fugitives those whom they had begged to leave and driven out. For the doom which they deserved was drawing them to this end, and it made them forget the things that had happened to them. Oh, yeah, there you go. I got you. Said, for the doom which they deserved was drawing them to this end, and it made them forget the things that had happened to them, that they might fill up the punishment which was yet lacking to their torments, and that your people might journey on by a marvelous road, but they themselves might find a strange death. For the whole creation, each part in its diverse kind, was made new again, complying with your commands, that your servants might be kept unharmed. Then the cloud that overshadowed the camp was seen, and dry land rising up out of what had been water, out of the Red Sea, an unhindered highway, and a grassy plain out of the violent surge, the which they passed over with all their army. Whoa, hold on. Y'all know what any of that means? That we just read toward the bottom. Now, I think that was the Red Sea that they parted, right? The Red Sea isn't deep. Some people, I guess it's some scientists, they went down there. You said when Moses led, right? It was some scientists went down there, and they was looking at the bottom of the ocean, looking. And they were sitting there saying, it's no physical proof that anybody walked across. They don't see any footsteps like down there in the mud, because it's with water. So if they just lift it up and they walking across, all that's going to be real muddy. You're going to be sticking, and you're going to have to walk for real. You might be going down to your knees or lower in mud because there's nothing but water. So what they're saying is they don't have any physical proof. There's no footsteps. There's none of that, right? So now reading right here, what this is saying is when the Lord parted the Red Sea, the water moved. New land came up. Like it says, new land, a grassy plain. A new grassy plain just came. So he moved that. He raised up new land, grass and all that. They walked across. So now you're not going to find footsteps or none of that, because when he closed it up, the land went back down. That's what it said. The land went back down, and then the water came back. So it's like he made new land for them to cross. That wasn't the original open floor. So boom, he moved it, raised it up, grass. Y'all walk across. They got to the other side, cool. The grass went back in, that stuff went back down to where it was, close it up. That's what he's saying happened. Yep, it was the Red Sea. It says right here, then the cloud that overshadowed the camp was seen, and dry land rising up out of what had been water, out of the Red Sea, an unhindered highway, and a grassy plain out of the violent surge, which they passed over with all their army. These who were covered with your hand, having seen strange marvels. Man, having seen strange marvels. For like horses, they roamed at large, and they skipped about like lambs, praising you, O Lord, who is their deliverer. For they still remembered the things that happened in the time of their sojourning. How instead of bearing cattle, and land brought out lice, and instead of fish, the river spewed out a multitude of frogs. But afterwards, they also saw a new kind of birds. When led on by desire, they asked for luxurious delicacies, for to comfort them. Quails came up from them from the sea, punishments came on the sinners. Not without the signs that were given beforehand by the force of the thunders, for they justly suffered through their own wickedness. For the hatred which they practiced toward guests was grievous indeed. For whereas the others did not receive the strangers when they came to them, the Egyptians made slaves of guests who were their benefactors. And not only so, but God will visit the men of Sodom another way, since they received as enemies those who were aliens, whereas these first welcomed with feastings, and then afflicted with dreadful toils those who had already shared with them in the same rights. And moreover, they were stricken with loss of sight, even as were those others at the righteous man's doors, when being surrounded with yawning darkness, they each looked for passage through his own door. For as the notes of a lute vary the character of rhythm, even so the elements, changing their order with one another, continuing always in its sound, as may clearly be conjectured from the sight of the things that have happened. For creatures of the dry land will turn into creatures of the waters, and creatures that swim moved on the land. Fire kept the mastery of its own power in water, and water forgot its quenching nature. On the contrary, flames did not consume flesh of the perishable creatures that walked among them. Neither did they melt the ice like grains of ambrosial food that were kept apt to melt. For in all things, O Lord, you magnified your people, and you glorified them, and did not lightly regard them, standing by their side in every time and place. All right, so we're saying with all of this stuff going on, some of the animals that was in the water, the Lord made to come on the land. And some of the stuff that was on the land, he made to go in the water. So some stuff he changed some animals around, some stuff happened. But he's saying even though he did all of this with the Egyptians, because he said, look at what the Egyptians did. They accepted the Israelites in. They accepted them in, the Hebrews. They brought them in. They had been breaking bread with them, been eating with them, and doing all of that. Then one day they just say, hey, man, there's more of them than us. They're going to overtake us. So now, like you said, the same people you were breaking bread with, all of a sudden, you turn them into slaves and start doing stuff with them. You ain't have to do none of that, but that's what you did. So he say he going to visit them. What he did was how he visited them. But then he says, the people of Sodom, I'm going to visit them another way. Because they came outside the holy man doors, I'm going to visit them another way. We all know how he visited them. The man sent fire and brimstone out of the sky, burn everything up. So he was telling you then, all this finna happen. All this finna happen. I'm sitting there trying to help people out. I'm trying to give them stuff. You turn it on folks. I already know that's what you're going to do, but you didn't have to. And that's what you did. You started enslaving the same people you were friends with. Same people y'all have been working together. They done brought their cattle here. Y'all doing all kind of trading, bartering, working together, living together. And then all of a sudden you just made slaves out of them because you lost sight that these people were actually your friends. They were benefactors. Y'all benefited from each other. And you got on some it's them versus us type of stuff and just enslaved them for no reason. So yeah, I'm about to show y'all some stuff. And with the Sodom and Gomorrah thing, I'm going to visit them too. I'm going to visit them too. A different kind of way. So that's it for the Book of Wisdom, which is wild. It got to all of this. The last 4 chapters we just read, it got into kind of when they were leaving out of Egypt and they were walking around. But a whole bunch of other stuff before this, it was saying a whole lot before this. So the last 4 chapters was just, hey, man, the Lord did this. The people walking around when y'all were getting out of Egypt. So the last 4, it focused on that. But do you guys have any comments or anything, any questions, anything you like to say about this? I know, Miss Austin, you coming in on the last 4 chapters. You should have been here for the whole book. I know you would have been saying some stuff. But, yeah. But anybody got anything, Walpert? I'm glad you caught that, man. That's new. Say he split the sea and raised up some new land for them to go through. Then it went back down. I wonder how the people felt that was crossing over once they saw the Hebrews had made it and we gonna follow. And in the middle of following, all of a sudden the land started going back down. Then the sea closed back up. Like, how did you feel when you was on that land and it just started going back down? It was at this moment they knew they messed up. I'm like, is that how you felt? Man. Oh, this was awesome. Hey. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. This word, this stuff, there's some good stuff off in here that we ain't never heard or never seen, but it gives you illumination because all of this correlates with the Bible. It's like filling in these holes, and it's like when you look at them, so this is what happened here. So this is what was going on too. It goes with it. People scared to read it for whatever reason, but it actually goes with it. So I'm glad you liked it. Like, this is what we do on Wednesdays. That's what we do.
And T, I got one thing to say. And this was Tia's comment, and I thought it was a good comment. She didn't post it in the chat, but she sent it to me. But she was saying that she sees why they took this book out the Bible because they meaning people who are or who claim to be authorities in the church use the Bible as to weaponize like their authority, I guess, like their power. Rather so that they can make money off of man rather than make money off of people rather than people fear God. Like they want people to fear them as the authoritative figure. They want to be the father. They want to be the ones that you confess your sins to. They want to be that representation of God when they're just They're just men themselves.
That comment right there is a terrible. No, I'm messing with you. It's a great comment. It's a, it's a great comment because people actually do that. And what's crazy is earlier in this book and some of the other chapters, he actually said that. If y'all remember, he was talking about there's some false prophets and false teachers out there that's teaching people wrong, and he was saying why and how it's leading other people wrong. And he was also saying, matter of fact, I think we talked about that. That was on Sunday, right? We talked. That was yeah. Go to God for your wisdom. That's the Sunday
Mhm.
word. He says that all throughout the Bible, that some people are doing this for a reason. And he was also saying that people that follow them have all kind of stuff going on, all kinds of stuff. I'm telling you, Miss Austin, you might want to go over the Sunday. Yeah, not Sunday, Saturday. You're right. I got to get used to saying Saturday, the Sabbath. Go over the word that we just did Saturday. It goes into that. He was saying people that follow these type of people that are trying to lead people a certain way for their benefit. Like he actually said that. I think it was who was it? Paul. When he had came out of Asia. That's what he said. I'm in Asia. He had taught them, he had established a church there and all of that. And he sat there and he was saying, when I leave here, I already know what's going to happen. I'm not going to make it back. It's like the Lord already let him know he's not going to see them people again. He's going to die before he get back over there. So he was like, I'm not going to be able to see y'all again. I'm not going to make it back. But right when I leave here, some people are going to try to come take over, and they're going to try to lead y'all wrong, and they're going to do this other stuff. And then he said, and then some of you that's in here right now, y'all going to start trying to pull people away by telling them false word so that people follow you instead of God. Like the person that's telling people this stuff, you're going to try to get them to follow you instead of God. And you're going to try to use the Lord's word to do it. We go, what you saying, we go over all of that. That was just the word on Saturday that just passed. He goes into that, and he's saying that people that follow these type of people, all type of bad stuff happens to them. And he says it happens to them for a reason, because instead of you actually reading to know what's going on, what you should follow or what you shouldn't, actually getting your own understanding and going to a place that helps you go with the word, you choose to keep following these people. They say you read some of this stuff and you know it's wrong, but you still choose to follow them. So you are finna partake in the punishment that he finna give them. So what he said, he just said that in here. Some of them people wasn't wrong, and they turned to the Lord. Some of them people wasn't doing all that other stuff that everybody else was doing, though, but they still suffered some of that punishment that they had. So, yeah, the Lord has said that a couple of times this week. So what you saying is right, man. I feel like more people knew or researched it, they wouldn't try so hard to defy God, especially if you knew the consequences. Hey, man, but you got to have people that want to look up the consequences. They got to really want to know. Now people really don't want to know. They're going to go somewhere that's going to tell them, hey, everything's good. All you got to do is say you're sorry. The Lord loves you, and he wants you to live in $1 million house and give you a Bentley. That's where they're going to go. Somebody telling them that. Not sure what book it was, but we also read about how there are portals in the world that open up to hurricanes and storms. Yeah, I think that was in Enoch. Enoch and something else, portals in the earth. Not articulating that correctly, but the storms and earthquakes, fires, and mountains. Yeah, it said it was like 4 different portals he sends storms out of. And he said he sends violent storms out of them. Now we read it here. Yeah, you got all kind of storms coming and happening to people because he's trying to get the ungodly men. Like, yeah, y'all out here living godless, doing whatever you want to do, doing all kind of stuff. He done got tired of it. Now I'm sitting hurricanes and hail. He talking about wildfires and all kind of stuff. Now we see why it's going on. Floods. We see why all this is happening. He's trying to kill people on purpose. Just think about when a Hurricane Katrina, and what was the other one? It was Katrina and what was it, Harvey or something? Because it was like 2 hurricanes that hit New Orleans. And they were like, they just got out of a hurricane. They just not bounced back. And then he sent another one. He sent their first one. Just think about the time that he sent it. New Orleans was known as what? The murder capital. Rita. There it is. It was known as the murder capital, right? And they was happy. We in the murder capital. We in the murder. We in it. All right, y'all living ungodly down there. Y'all happy to live ungodly. Well, let me wash all your sins away. Hold on, man. Hold on. That it's like we can walk right into that one. Let me wash all these sins away. So he sent the flood and the storm. Washed all that up out of there, right? They tried to go to other places. Some people couldn't leave. They stayed there. Still wasn't clean enough for them. I'm going to send another one. And I say, once we look at what's going on, hey, there be some bad stuff going on in some places, man, and we sitting there glorifying it. The Lord be sending stuff to make it not happen no more. Look where these wildfires hitting. So like now you got 100 dead bodies somewhere. You know, you done burn up all of Maui. Hey, maybe there's some stuff going on in some of these places that shouldn't be going on. And the Lord trying to root it out. Maybe you got somebody here practicing witchcraft, like in here. They practicing some dark art type of stuff, and the Lord, yeah, I'm finna burn all this up. Could be something like that. We don't know. But we read, and this is why. 100 and count. Man. But yeah, I'm I'm glad we discussing this. I'm glad y'all enjoying these here bids, man. These here bids. That sound good in country. These here bids. But I'm glad y'all enjoy them. I'm glad they're helping y'all out. You know, y'all are learning from them. That's what the whole thing is for us to learn more, for us to go further in there, for us to see how to better serve the Lord. And we can read different things, different consequences, helping with different parts of life. That's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to get to. That's the whole point of these. So hopefully y'all keep enjoying them. Hopefully y'all keep tuning in to them and watching them and commenting and things like that. And like I said, if you're on YouTube, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you're on Facebook or however you're looking, hit the like or whatever you do on there. But that's it for tonight in this bid. I will see you guys on Saturday, same time, 9:45. Oh, also we do have a feast coming up next month. I think it's around the 15th. It's gonna be on like a Saturday. It's like the Sabbath is the day we're supposed to have it. So, but we have to cook certain stuff. So we already know Friday night actually starts the Sabbath. So what we're probably going to do, we have to have a holy convocation for it. We have to get together on a Friday night when we cook during the day, and then once it turns dark, you know, we eat, talk, do whatever we got to do with the Lord telling us to do, and then Saturday you chill. I think it's for the Day of Atonement. I got to make sure, and that is an important day. You can't work on that day. It's important. Yeah, the Lord talking about he'll cut you off from your people. You do something on that day. So, nah, we ain't doing none of that. Chill on that Sabbath. Some people not chilling on the Sabbath like they should. That one there, you better make sure you chill on it. All right, I got to get the info and get it sent out to you to make sure you guys have it. All right. But other than that, I love y'all, and that's it for tonight until the Sabbath. Hopefully, I see y'all Saturday at 9:45. All right. Like you said, nighty night. Good night, y'all.